Hi, everybody, and welcome to the really overdue review, the full album review, may I say, for K-Rino's Mind Vision album. My name is Holden Stephan Roy. This is the Headspace podcast, the show where we break down the new-ish hip-hop albums, track by track, giving thoughts and opinions on every single song. And today, the album that I'll be discussing is K-Rino's Mind Vision project. As you can tell by the thumbnail and the title and all that, that's not the point. I'm going to just kind of run my thoughts at you, kind of tell you what I think. I look forward to seeing your comments. I know how passionate the K-Rino fan base really is, and I think this is it's going to take some time to go through each of these tracks, so I'm trying to cut the intros down, waste a little bit less time than I used to in the past. So special thanks in advance to the Patreon. Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, Lindell Williams, and Scribble. They're dope. We'll touch on that at the end. But now it's time to talk a little bit about K-Rino. I like to start off all the album reviews kind of contextualizing my familiarity with the artist. I mean, y'all are K-Rino fans. I know that because the people who click on K-Rino stuff are freaking hardcore K-Rino fans. I know this because my cousin is one of these people who is a K-Rino fan of such tenacity. So I feel like y'all are going to come here and check out my review. When I first started, I would run my mouth a little bit. I would say some stuff, act a little bit cocky. Didn't do me very well. Started telling people, yo, this is how deep into the fandom I am. This is my familiarity with stuff. People were a little bit more understanding in the comments. I love comments. We can interact. Whatever you're going to tell me, I'm going to read it. I'm going to answer you personally, and I look forward to those interactions. But for K-Rino, for years, my cousin was hounding me. He was saying, review K-Rino, jump on that K-Rino, check out K-Rino. And for years, I ignored him. When I say years, I'm talking like I got into hip hop like proper, started making my own music in like 2012. He was telling me about it back then. Like he's been a hardcore fan for like more than a decade. So Steve Ryu, you the one, you know. Dude actually talks to K-Rino. Like he's elevated his fandom. For a lot of y'all that think you the number one fan, he has you in contendership. I digress. So K-Rino is a presence in my life, whether I like it or not, just because my cousin is there. I am part of a couple of K-Rino groups, and this isn't my first K-Rino review. The first time we discussed it, we did K-Rino's album Crap, the one that came out in 2017 before the 4-piece. I can't remember it now. Anyway, that one, it was beautiful. The one with like many great tracks on it. This is terrible. The Mightier Than the Sword or whatever, that album. It was my first real like run through, and I thought it was brilliant. I think it was one of those album reviews where I gave over a 4.5, and the entire time we said K-Rino. So when you go watch that review, if you do care to, keep in mind we have learned how to say the man's name properly. Then time passes and K-Rino does something quite incredible, and he drops the 4-piece, and he drops the 4-piece while I'm on vacation. So, it came out and then I was on vacation like right after. So I spent like a whole bunch of time basically transcribing half the album's worth of songs because the lyrics were not available online. I sacrificed a few days of my life to prep for these reviews, and I was well rewarded because as I started putting out the first review, the second review, the third review, we got a hold of Mr. Scally Scal. Big love to Scally Scal. We've been kind of Facebook status buddies for the last year or so. Guy's legit, does work with K-Rino direct. They go on lives and stuff here and there. So Scally Scal, I appreciate him. He's a legitimate player, true to my heart, like a true guy, like in terms of ethics and whatnot, true to my heart in that regard. He links it up, and the next thing you know, we're going live, like doing an interview with K-Rino, and then a couple weeks later I did another review. So I did have the great pleasure of having like an hour-long conversation with K-Rino over the internet, which just is kind of nuts if I think about it still. It's one of the most interesting things that has happened on this channel in my opinion. So it's the main video on this channel. If you go to youtube.com/behindthatsuit, so you can check that out if you haven't seen it. I'm certain most people who are clicking on this video by this point may have seen it. Just, you know, it's one of those videos that still gets comments. So thank you, K-Rino fans, who took the time. It's almost 2,000 views on that video, which for me is cool numbers. So thank you, K-Rino fans, for showing love like that. It's real cool. I've also been watching K-Rino's YouTube channel grow, and it's kind of cool to see him like embrace the technology and to like try out some stuff. Like the way he marketed Mind Vision was fascinating. Like there's this Facebook group, and like my cousin's a part of that, so I watched all this promotion happen, and you know, the Andrea lady that's on the album, she did some like promotional work. Like, what do you guys think about the title? Don't worry, I'm gonna get to that. Just a few other things. My cousin was apparently shipped the poster for the My Bike video, which was cool. That's and I don't know, like it's just cool to watch them engage with fans and to watch them like play the internet the way that I hope people of like the wisdom level of a K-Rino come bring to the table. I don't know. I did watch his coronavirus status updates. I don't want to touch too much on that. I just want to say none of us really are scientists, so I agree that the media is propagating a lot of stuffs. All I know is the information I'm getting is saying stay the fuck home, because whether it's a nefarious plot for doom or whether it is just an innocuous virus spread from a Wuhan meat farm, or whether it's, in my opinion, a plan to kill a bunch of old people to deal with Social Security, which I could run through. Like, it doesn't really matter. We have two choices as people. We can stay the fuck home and, do what we got to do to avoid human interactions and social distance. So for myself, been in the apartment with Bonnie all week. It's going to be probably a good couple of months. Is it terrible? Kinda. It's an awful idea to think that soon where I live in Quebec may actually be shut down with some kind of martial law to keep us inside. But then you go look at something like in Italy where they waited to do something like this and the death count's insane. Like, I think I saw 850 people died yesterday as of recording this, and we're talking March 21st today. So I'm like, yo, my dad is like susceptible to stuff, and like, I don't know. If all we have to do is stay at home, who the fuck cares who's responsible in this moment? Let's just be responsible, stay in, social distance, do all the crap. I did a lot of research into this topic because I read, and I just recommend that you don't watch YouTube videos. Get your knowledge from like eyes to words on paper and think for yourself with that, because when people talk to you in videos and they don't cite their sources specifically and you don't go read the source material, it's hard to have the same appreciation and understanding, because reading is the best way, in my opinion, to process words. And hearing people talk, you're influenced by the way they spit the words. I'm influencing you right now. Everybody on the camera, the tone, the look on my face, it's all an act here. I could concoct all sorts of tales and whatnot to try to convince you with stuff. So when audiovisual material is processed, at just the end of the day, it's just people talking at you with opinions and whatnot. At least when you go read the words, it's simpler for your brain to be able to translate the tonality, to see the manipulation in action, because you can process the words and look at what they actually mean. But when I'm speaking at you, I can charismatically, you might not think I'm charismatic, but I could use magic tricks on you. I could edit the video in such a way to perfection. I could do all sorts of stuff. Personally, I don't edit a lot for the sake of authenticity and trustability. Just keep it in mind, and when you do your research, read it. That's all I wanted to say for those of you who did watch those videos, because the way he presented that information didn't sit 1,000% right with me. It was very like, I know what I'm talking about, but I didn't hear the sources. I got told to read up on it, but here's the thing. I have read up on a lot of this stuff. I have done the research, and I came to very different conclusions than Mr. K-Rino. So I'm not trying to say he's wrong. I'm not trying to challenge him. I'm trying to say that as a person who has, read up in it and read the materials of what the scientists are publishing and avoided the media, and especially any form of audio-visual versions. I like to read this, like I said. My conclusions are drastically different. If you guys want me to pursue that topic with more my thoughts on coronavirus, yeah, I said the word, kill the monetization, YouTube. If you guys want that and want me to discuss it further, let me know in the comments. Please don't come at me all hater-like. I'm just saying, do some research. Don't just trust me. Don't trust him. Don't trust anybody. And there's nothing wrong with staying home. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get back on track to the Mind Vision album review. I do apologize if somebody was offended by my words there or felt like it was not related to the topic, but the beauty of having a platform and not being a corporate sellout is you can kind of do what you want on your platform, and to just double down on like the kind of person I am in terms of being like a corporate take the money versus not, as we'll talk, there's a track on here that kind of calls out the people who take the money for silence. I filmed a satirical music video criticizing my company at work. Like, I filmed a music video at work in the office. That's just the kind of person I am. I'm not really worried about losing my job or income or whatever. I digress. I do like being employed. I'm grateful I can keep my job through these times. So for the next long while, I'm still gonna get paid, and my life's not gonna be disrupted that much because I'm pretty much a homebody. Certain things are gonna change, but for a lot of people, man, apparently like 500,000 people in Montreal alone needed to apply for unemployment. The stuff's gonna get real, and people are gonna die. So I don't know, just take it all serious, I guess. Had to get that off my chest. Ever since I watched those videos from K-Rino earlier, I just had to see what he had to say, and then the very recent ones on his channel. So I digress. I love this album. And I hope I didn't lose y'all there. I do love this album, and I think it's one of the better albums I heard. I kind of wish I had gotten to it sooner. It is about 3 months late now. It came out in December of 2019, and I would say I didn't make a best of list. It's kind of a good thing, because this album would have deserved to have been on that list, and I wouldn't have been able to put it there until like now. So I love the cover, and it's just kind of like his eyes are blocked out, like he's locked into some kind of like an information matrix, and his mind is producing vision, almost like this virtual reality type thing. And I love the kind of way the cover works, because I have a VR headset, and it kind of feels like that. You cover up your eyes, maybe it's a little more over the head, and then it's like you're drifting away. And if I think about astral projection as a track, as I look at this cover, which I don't normally cite the album, but y'all probably already heard it, then it kind of like puts me in that phase where like we're gonna take this outer body experience with K-Rino, where his mind is going to be like explored through his words, which are going to kind of give us a good sense of what's going on inside it. Like almost he's gonna paint this like canvas of what's going on in his mind and how it's all put together. And when I think about the title Mind Vision, I'm left with like that sense of inner truth of who you are. Like every one of us is guided, in my opinion, by some kind of force inside of us. Whether or not we acknowledge it, we fight it, we embrace it, whatever. But I feel like when you're attuned and in line with this force that guides you within you, I like to think it's like a spirit of God type thing, kind of channeling through me, through my Christian upbringing and my Jewish, ethnicities and whatnot. So I take that monotheistic approach. It's the simplest way for me to process this kind of thinking. But I can't feel like when I'm in line with all of that, I get to unlock what's called this mind vision, which is when you get to kind of see the ebbs and flows of life, and you're able to almost make kind of grandiose predictions, and you're able to kind of see the different strings that connect to different stuff together. It's where you take that time to educate yourself so that you can go on a YouTube video with absolute conviction, look at a microphone and say some stuff. It's so that when the words come out of your mouth, it's like communicating all like in synchronous with this greater purpose and vision that is brought to you from like your third eye inner mind type stuff. So it's almost like I feel like your mind vision is the clarity of your inner purpose, and when you can see that, you've like unlocked this mind vision. It's almost like unlocking like a harder mode. Maybe it's not correct 1,000%. I'm not 1,000% sure what K-Rino did. I do love the post they put where they kind of ask, what do you take from it? And I love the fact that the title has that what do you take from it element. It's real strong. It's a really good title, and it's 2 words. It's succinct. It's good copy. It is, of all the albums I've covered by K-Rino, my favorite title so far. The cover's corny in the way a dad joke would be. He's a dad age. He's like late 40s. Love it. It's what I hope for and want from men of his age. So it's a cool title, cool cover is what I'm trying to say. I digress. Still a whole bunch of trash to get through. Let's talk about March into Massacre. So I'm going to go into it by saying that I believe K-Rino has a few core like types of songs he makes. He's got the flossing song where he basically unlocks lyrical bullets and flows, and it's just constant bars, and it's like this journey to go through the way he can manipulate sounds to kind of punch you and create these flows with the words connecting together. Everything will make sense. It's like bars for days tracks. That's what this song is. But he also has some other core types, like the story song where it's specifically about a story, and then there's the message song where he's like trying to convey a particular point through bars. And I love the fact that K-Rino will give us a versatility of these 3 like main types of song, showcasing range. And one thing I came to expect coming into this is that every song would kind of be about something different and give us something different, because to date, that's what I gotten from K-Rino so far. So why would I expect anything different? This comes in with this beautiful track from Supreme Tracks. And may I just say, for the lyrics, thuggish, ruggish, raw, he put in an insane amount of time transcribing these lyrics. I see a whole bunch of K-Rino fans all day long talking about the best ways to support him, spending a ton of time listening to his music on repeat, and like none of these people is really taking the time to transcribe his lyrics when the album dropped. It took over a month for this to come out. I know Thuggish Ruggish Raw held down a huge heavy weight of doing that. So fans of K-Rino, with his upcoming albums coming, if y'all want to help the man and get some stuff going, take that time, transcribe his album lyrics, get it up there fast so that people can jump on it a lot quicker, and not just the reaction channels that aren't going to give you the kind of commentary y'all claim you want. So I'm just saying, fans, this is on you that it took so long for this review to come. The delay is because it took forever for the lyrics to come. And I mean, as much as it's like you could say I listened to it, I did. K-Rino is an extremely clear rapper. Supreme Tracks on this one brings this fucking powerful banging beat, this orchestral feel, as it just feels like drums and pounding at this slower cadence. And K-Rino does it insane justice, but I can't remember it all because I'm not one of those super fans that remembers all the lyrics and like that. I kind of, at this point of review, do not want to mess up and remember incorrectly. It is so helpful to be able to point out how dope his bars is by saying and looking at the words in front of me. My quotes cause strokes and thrombosis. The dopeness encroaches and pokes, leaving its host with throats bloated as blowfish. And I'm like, yo, I know I can't deliver it like K-Rino can, because his delivery is just... I was thinking about it today. He has this like melodic angle to the way he does it, where he morphs all of these words to like the core syllable sound and rides that like a wave. Like his flow is just impeccably done. It's just like, it's icy is all I'm trying to say. I really enjoyed it. And basically the whole way through, it's going to be, he's amazing. He's the best, smartest, brightest, most brilliant. I am making a little bit of an effort to make these reviews a little more concise. So, I mean, I could go anywhere in this track, like rappers losing balance and staggering, never grasping what's happened to arrogant fabricants with drafts and natural as saturin tracks attracting your plasma and acting as coagulant. Like, all of it follows the same freaking, like, it's got like this same sounds. The way he bounces his syllables together, it just keeps this flow and this cadence where it just hugs the beat perfectly in the pocket in such a way where it's just masterfully done. His use of language is great. Like the way he says coagulant at the end, you're like, I forgot coagulant was a word, was my first thought. It's so cool that like he reminded me of this word's existence. The fact that he has such a staggeringly diverse array of wordplay to choose from. His vocabulary is so diverse. It's like he can milk the shit out of like these flows and rhyme schemes and just keep it going and going, and just when you think he's done, he drops a word like coagulant on you to like kind of tie it all together. This track, it just explosive, you know. I am not the kind of guy that can listen to something like this and just easily pick a favorite bar, and I'm absolutely certain that we could go through this and go that every single bar in this shit is absolutely on the same level. Like, I love the way he says shit like, after blowtorching the beat, I wander off in my sleep, performing surgeries on random people walking the street. And if you gossip, I'll pop open your top quick as a locksmith. My whole closet is stocked with big boxes of drop kicks. And it's just the imagination there. Like, for one thing, he doesn't really swear on this album. So as he's going through this more aggressive style, right, keep in mind he's not cussing. So he's not relying on filler words like fuck, shit, and all that stuff. Where, come on, everybody out there that swears on there, we all know that sometimes we throw in a little fuck in because it makes the cadence flow. Nah, K-Rino takes the harder route, where instead of throwing in fucking, he'll modify the flow or the syllables or combine the words in such a way to just make it work perfectly. I digress. I really think this song is amazing. It is just one hard-hitting verse that comes through and just kind of smacks you in the face. Just to show you what I mean, I like when he goes and he's attacking his little rapper person. I know, I strike faster than you ever did when I'm being hesitant. See, and I like how he does this kind of larger than life character where if you listen to his music, he's just literally bigger than Chuck Norris ever was. Like, he is the Chuck Norris of hip hop. He is just great in terms of what the Chuck Norris meme is. So he strikes faster than you did, even when he's being hesitant. So while he's hesitating and la-di-da-di, he still is quicker than you because he's freaking, like, able to think a gajillion thoughts at once in 2 seconds. Do I find it literal? No. Do I find it fun as fuck? Kinda, yeah. It's like dad joke hard bars. And it just... But not just any dad. He's the kind of dad you know could kick the shit out of you if you mess around with his daughter, so you don't. Because while he may be a dad, he's a scary fucking dad. He doesn't curse. He'll still fuck you up. And that's what I like about the way K-Rino goes in hard. It's super fun to listen to. But yeah, so after he kind of does the hesitant line, smite you with one punch, but he felt it twice. Again, playing on that like supernatural feel to who he is. I'm under a sweltering light, pricely redeveloping melted ice. He yelled for Christ right after he felt the knife. That's when I selfishly dealt the spice that would quickly stifle his helpless life. And I just like the fact that in all of that, it's like he just goes to this detail of him coming through and he's ripping this person, stabbing him, and he's calling out for Christ. And just in that moment, he kind of has the compassion and it's just to end his life so he can be done with this kind of like whatever. I liked it. I liked the whole track. I think it starts off the album great. I think the way he fucking bounces off the beat is stellar. I love the fact that he can change up the flow, use multiple like core sounds to kind of just run through how smart he is, how... You know what I like about it? The way he brags in a way that kind of exemplifies intelligence, wisdom, and strength of more of a chorus spirit rather than a materialistic wealth. Like, he's not bragging that he's fucking more girls. He's not bragging that he's on better dope. He's bragging that he's got this intellectual superiority that his mind vision will destroy you. But it's also fascinating because I do believe there's a bit of a story arc to this album in terms of trying to put forth a mindset on how to navigate these tough times. So he's laying it down in the beginning that he's willing to march and he's willing to fight and he's willing to be that person. And I love that because it's not just showing how hard it is, it's showing like his character. Like, and if you gossip, I'll pop open, whatever. It's not just him coming for you, it's him coming at these bad characteristics in people. So there's these subtle cues about who not to be. Like, he sets a precedent for elite development. You know, he's trying to come out here and show you what he's trying to be, a role model again, and I love that about K-Rino. 4.5 on 5. It's not a 5 on 5 for me. There is a bit of this sound, the slow tempo-ness that is not my 1000% gonna throw it on. For me, a 5 on 5 has to have a certain energy that's gonna make me want to come to that track every single day, or it has to be so stellar that it reaches this pinnacle of perfection. This is an amazing track, don't get me wrong, compared to a lot of other stuff. Like, I've just heard better K-Rino tracks, okay? I've heard better ones. And as an example of a better K-Rino song I've heard, Astral Projection. I love this track. So the one thing I think that if I could have said I was really hoping to hear from K-Rino personally, and this is my preference, is a fast pace, upbeat, kind of bouncy, quick pace song. The kind of thing like when it starts off with, tonight I'll practice astral projection, step out of myself and grasp introspect, like that kind of tricky shit. Now, I'm not saying K-Rino can't do it. He just literally did it on this song. What I am saying is he typically goes a little bit slower and clearer. He's a message-driven rapper, and message-driven rappers rely less on tricks because they know the power of their words are gonna work. But I love the fact that K-Rino came in and did some tricky shit here, because to date, Astral Projection is now my favorite K-Rino song because it just brought it to me in a way. That beat, Anu Genetics, fire. I'm just throwing out the doo 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 kind of sounds over that bounciness. It just hits me in a way. It just makes me want to move. I've been losing weight like a motherfucker, so now I can dance a little bit more because I got some energy. You drop like 50 plus pounds, you start dancing because you just can. You still keep the leg strength. You just lost a lot of the top half. So that means I've been moving, and when this shit comes in, I just can't help it. I start like throwing my little white boy two-step. It's super fucking fun. But what's really cool about this track is it's more of like, again, that message that I was trying to talk about. So if you look at what he's describing in this track, it's like this ability to kind of levitate with your mind, have like an out-of-body experience, and literally through astral projection, kind of have this moment of looking down over yourself, over the world and everything, almost like you're escaping your mind. And I've heard about this through like prisoners and stuff, who like the more conscious and self-aware people who are like locked in jail or for a real long time, who describe this sense of freedom they can have by unlocking their mind to a point where what they describe sounds like what K-Rino is describing here in astral projection, where they can send their mind out into the world and nothing can kind of keep them projected. And then I think about, how there's stuff like hood politics and whatnot that kind of give you a frame of mind of where he lives in Houston. And let's be real, Houston is one of the less safe places out there. It's proper hood. It's not like Montreal where the homicide rate is tiny. And yes, people here will tell me it's probably greater than what's reported, but it's very safe to live in Montreal. Either way, so when I think about that, right away as you're going into battle, so in your first track, the second track follows through with a kind of way to cope with the situation. So I love just part of the lines, like, so, traveling in a supernatural direction on a fast path to master perfection. I laid in the bath and tried their best easy. Felt the energy inside my life. Leave me the theory that I was using was now proven. I looked down at it and my body was not moving. He wasn't using or substance abusing. I could have been hallucinating, but it was soothing. So basically what we have is a sober K-Rino, I guess, lying in a bathtub, trying to relax and meditate. I can almost picture some candles, maybe some incense burning to set a tone. And then he's able to levitate from his mind and he escapes. But like, it's almost like what you're supposed to achieve through meditation. It's like getting to that deepest sense of who you are, so that to the point where you break out onto that hook. But like, it's almost like we're getting it for the first time. Like he finally achieved this in the first verse, like his first expression of this deep sense of like inner peace and understanding as his mind's flying into the greater realms. And then you get to that beautiful hook where he sings out like, so now I'm floating through the sky, looking at my body from a place so high, relaxing. I don't know, I love it. I just think it sings beautiful. And I like the words, So he's floating, he's looking down, he can't use nothing but his mind. Then he goes through space and time to this earthly shell of mind. He's no longer confined. And it's just this idea that like your body is kind of here. And part of the reason I love reading so much is because reading gives my mind that kind of escape that he's describing in that chorus. When you're reading about some crap in the 1500s, it's almost like you're in the 1500s for a little bit. And I like how in the second verse he flows through and he's like, I'm merely trying to test out the theory. I spoke clearly, yet nobody could hear me. I'm cruising like me on the planet Earth's exclusive, totally aware, I'm conscious and lucid. So I like how it's like he accidentally achieved this state. He was just kind of like fucking around. He's trying to test out something he read and it worked. And now he's flowing around and he's happy and he's got this like almost like special Aladdin magic carpet ride going on with Earth right now. And I like the overall tone of it. Like I was able to see no longer enslaved in the grief. My spirit was overtaken with the wave of relief. I could feel my anatomy when it started to heal, which revealed you got to destroy in order to build. And it feels like he has to escape the dark toxicity of the situation and have this almost out-of-body experience in order to have the clarity required. And we'll get to that throughout the album. I think, like I said, there's a bit of a tone. But to have the clarity required to be able to cope with the harder situations, and it's basically why people say meditate, so you can do what he's describing here in this song and achieve like the same kind of thing. And then I like how he's kind of like flows in the third verse. The rough water I navigated was now steady. To re-enter the body I exited was ready. Carefully I was trekking downwards trajectory, but panicked a second because my body was rejecting me. And then, basically it's kind of harder for him to come back in. And he kind of like, his body and him have a little beef. Like, had it forgotten the best of me and unexpectedly set me in effigy. Effigy is a great word. I love the fact that K-Rino has this level of diction. Let me Google the definition to make sure we all know what effigy means, because I'll be honest, if I try to spitball now, I might fuck it up. A sculpture or model of a person. That's what effigy means. So basically, him and his body are beefing. His body doesn't want to let him in, so he couldn't get through. He felt like, the pervasive allure he's chasing before was no longer a priority case anymore. I couldn't get through, feeling like an incompetent fool. To consolidate the two was all I wanted to do. Then I got a signed word I was hoping to find. Stop trying to enter the body and go through the mind. So in a sense, I feel like this song is kind of putting a metaphor. You leave through the body with your bodily desires and flesh. Let's say your hedonism. You want to fuck, you want to smoke, you want to do your things. And then after you have this experience, almost like a baptism, a rebirth of sorts, you come down through the body realizing all this new shit. You realize how to achieve the greater stuff. You realize how to march through the madness. Not you go to the madness, now you've gotten through it. You're ready to go on to the next phase. You realize your body still is accustomed to the always, and instead of getting your body to maybe behave, you have to control the mind, which really controls the body. And I feel like it's just a good metaphor for gaining control of your mind and whatnot. I think it's a banging beat. It's an interesting subject matter of a track. Definitely fun to listen to. Give it a 5 on 5. Love it. Let's talk about a story-driven track with a little message tucked in. It's The Cleansing Room. This is a story track, meaning for the full impact of this, it is just listen to the story. It isn't like loaded necessarily with metaphor and whatnot. In fact, the whole story could be described as a metaphor for just kind of, I don't know, life, what needs to happen, a social sort of cleansing room. So through astral projection, we find out that K-Rino has the vision of what needs to happen. So I believe in the cleansing room, he's trying to point out just the flaws and the toxicity of the various education sources. So, it starts off in a rainy night around noon. He's found himself trapped and locked in sound room. So just like starts off in Saw, kind of chained to some shit. I'm picturing it like that. Then there's 5 other people in the room. Nobody knows what's up. And then he realizes the identity, and he discovers each. One was a doctor, one was a priest, a politician, teacher, and cop were the other 3. And then he's there as a rapper. We were all nervous. What's the point of being here, etc. And then all of a sudden, the jigsaw voice comes through, sounding remarkably like a deeper K-Rino, singing, "You are in the cleansing room." I love it. I like this hook a lot. I think it's one of the most hooky hooks on the project. I found myself singing along by the end of the first one just because it's pretty simple lyrics. But you are in the cleansing room. There will be a cleansing soon, leading to impending doom. So it sounds like a bunch of motherfuckers are going to die. We don't really know what's up yet in the story, but K-Rino will bring us through it. So in the second verse, everyone's freaking out. Then he kind of starts and focuses in on the doctor. And he takes the time to say, basically, the doctor, he's like, you're here because you prescribe people with a bunch of medicines, indulging in the pharmaceuticals' evil greed. You didn't give patients the good treatments. You gave them a bunch of bullshit. And especially if you look at the OxyContin situation and the various drug epidemics that can, in a lot of ways, be triggered back to greedy doctors. Like, I'll be honest, one time I walked into a doctor, like a walk-in clinic. I told them I'm depressed. I got pills. One time, they just gave me fucking antidepressants. Why? I don't know. Probably money. It was just a sampler. She had that one, so I got that one. So I like the fact that K-Rino is taking the time to kind of point out that a doctor who just is a slave to a system and doesn't bother to treat people correctly is probably a fucking asshole. And so, because one of my favorite lines, because love of money drove you to practice your craft poorly. Then he looks at the teacher and he talks about knowingly teaching them false history to your students and how you stayed silent as all your moral fiber was decayed. And to which I realized that, I don't think he's trying to typecast all doctors as evil and all teachers as evil, because, there's definitely a bunch of teachers that don't know fuck all about history and think they're teaching truth. But I think it's more to the point of even those people, they're in a position that they're supposed to be the ones who know the truth, and instead they're misleading people, and that's bad. And the politician, well, hearing us like, I don't even need to describe it. Mr. Politician, your evil ways have never switched. Oppressive policies made for the benefit of the rich. He spoke to the cop who had just to be stopped for the racial harassment of black people he shot. Fair. It's typical stuff. Doesn't need to spend time describing why the cop and they don't. It's pretty clear. Everyone understands that the systemic racism in the police department is a problem. The militarization of the police force has led to shoot first, ask questions later, and a lot of other bullshit. Simultaneously, politicians is fucking dicks and do shit for money. Just look at Mr. Trudeau in a pipeline where he's violating a treaty with a bunch of natives in order to make some bank, even though fracking and all this other shit is what it is. I digress. Then he goes after the priest and he's like, you fuck kids and that's bad. fair. I completely agree. This is terrible. But then K-Rino's like, okay, why am I here? And then basically, I like the way his flow goes. He said, you can make sounds that potentially can influence. You can bring the people to truth, or you can bring them to ruins. The decision is up to you. What will you do with your voice? I hope that you witness here will help you render your choice. And then everybody gets fucked up, and K-Rino's like, I'm gonna be a true speaker, bringing the real shit to the kids, and he dips out. And something that I find fascinating here is, in a lot of ways, in many periods of history, the artists and the poets and shit like that were like the historical truth tellers when everything else was politicized and whatnot. So I love this. I try to be a truth teller with my music. I try to be inspired to like pursue this. I try to be a truth teller on this platform, even if my truth might get fucked up, or maybe you don't disagree with everything, like my little commentary on K-Rino at the very beginning of this video. The point is I would rather do what I can to use everything of my gifts to empower, to help people build. Like K-Rino's actually been a huge influence in terms of shaping the more adult side of my life, because end of the day, how many rappers are telling you how to be like a proper man? And K-Rino's doing that. So I'm going to try and be like that and try to drop my own version of being a proper man as I'm in my early 30s now. Anyway, I think it's got a crazy cool beat produced by Young Pro. It's really enjoyable. I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of story song, because by like listen 8, I know what's going to happen. It's lost a little bit of appeal. That doesn't take away from the quality of the song, so I'm giving it a 4.5. Let's move on to Hood Politics. I like the placement of this track because right after describing a lot of, let's say, the poisons in the hood, you know, the cops, the politicians, the teachers, everybody in there that's kind of fucking shit up, we move into the other side of the hood, the more internalized hood politics. This is less of the oppressive forces attacking the system, which I believe Cleansing Room was trying to bring light of. This is the other side of the coin, the way that people treat each other inside of this. So it starts off with the very lovely Andrea Maria, and I guess I've interacted with her on Facebook, so that's cool. Thanks for answering me on Facebook when I did leave that one comment you did. And then she describes, wow, it's getting real crazy out here. Everywhere we look, we see crime, poverty, drug selling, drug using, prostitution, homelessness. We caught up in some true hood politics. And it's just kind of outlined some of the more social issues, framing what the song is. And then I like how the chorus of this track addresses just the kind of skepticism you almost have to have. Just because they smile and laughing when they pass them through doesn't mean they won't kill you. Who creates hood politics? Who orchestrates these hood politics? So fact is, this is the situation. You can't necessarily trust the people around you. And then he's questioning, why is it like this? Right away, the first line of the first verse is another question. How long will we continue to live in this condition? Most of us are living in a place where love is missing, negligence, and depending on government assistance, wishing for a lick that we can hit. It's nothing different. Hard to get some money, so you almost out of luck now. Had to pull the stunt and got a felony. You stuck now. Did some time in prison. It was rough. You got busted. Couldn't find no work when you got out. Went back to hustling. And so what I really appreciate here is how he's kind of showing how the system kind of plays out in the hood. So this would be like there's a 13th Amendment, right, to the U.S. Constitution. I'm in Canada. I don't even know what the Canadian slave situation is up here for prison, but basically the 13th Amendment makes slavery like a for-profit prison endeavor where you can lock motherfuckers up in prison and get them to do shit like make licenzas. Allegedly, I don't know, I'm not trying to get sued here, but like licenza or one of these brands, and they could build that shit in a prison, license plates, whatever. So motherfuckers are incentivized to put young black and other minorities into prisons, in particular hoods, so that they can get out. They can't get jobs. There's no options. They go back into the bad stuff. They get locked back in again, and boom, these companies basically and effectively get free labor, because the truth is they are perceived as profits. So as K-Rino drops all this knowledge here, I'm like, yo, that is kind of what's up. And when you look at how the hood got tore up, it's we don't ask that question because a lot of people don't. Looking for a way to make people open their eyes up. Others making laws to guarantee we never rise up. So the fact is, there is a system in place that is kind of utilizing the corruption in the hood for profit. You know, we be buying and we can't even afford it. Yeah, this is kind of everybody. I'm pretty sure everybody's middle class is doing this too. money running through our hands, but somehow we the poorest. That's fair. There's demographic information that shows that a dollar stays in the black community for about 6 hours before it goes into some other culture's community. Consuming and not dealing, the cycle's never ending, not focused on business or land, too busy spending. And then I really appreciate how he's pointing this out throughout the rest of this verse, how the economic situation's whack and the priorities are wonky. Like when you spend all sorts of money on like a fly pair of whatever's instead of saving up for equity, like people don't own land because they can't afford it, and land is effectively the foundation of wealth. Like you're either going to build a company and have a brand that is worth money, or you're going to have wealth of some kind through land and assets, and people just kind of have a bunch of crap. And then when he goes, we don't own no property, so gradually they come slow, buying up the hood and building high-rise and condos. Yo, Montreal's in a fucking weird place for that. The apartment vacancy rate is like under 1%, and last like July 1st, our moving day, there was like a 5-figure amount of homeless people that just couldn't have homes that night. And like all over, you're watching affordable housing get wrecked and destroyed for these condos that people can't afford. Like the amount I pay in rent, if you were to ask me 5 years ago would I accept it, I'd fucking like laugh in your face. But now it's a good number, and I can tell you my salary hasn't gone up to make me feel that way, and it's a lot more. Life is like that. So the fact that it really goes down in the hood, especially if your place is houses. Like I'm fortunate. I live in a place with like apartment rent control. It's all like apartments that are getting fucked up. Nobody ever had houses in Montreal that are getting fucked up like that. But if your hood has houses, I hear it's fucked up. Like it's real bad. It's very different, and it's a higher level of complication. Anyway, then I like the attack on politicians and pharmaceuticals and, kind of like just shit like silly videos that take our focus off of real life, broke our manhood. Now they shoot us and arrest us, living off our women. Now our women don't respect us. No one to protect us. Ain't no hope around me. How can he feed his family when he locked up in the county? And it's like, it's showing like just in this verse how many attacks to come from. So when you have people who show up when it's time to do photo ops and get some pictures and whatnot at re-election time, or all the ridiculous shit that happens to black men online so that they get kind of made to look like buffoons, and to a point where it feels like a lot of people don't really respect them. I don't know. I kind of appreciate that. I kind of appreciate how he ends this verse. I feel like it's really an empowering tune that like shows a deeper message of what's going on in his environment. It's like K-Rino offering his opinion on hood politics is highly welcomed, because I truly believe he's an expert on this type of shit. And it contextualizes kind of the world he's in, which it flows really well between the people who created the environment, which we explored in the cleansing room, and to what happens in the next track, which I feel like flows the story into the end result of being in that environment. So let's move. Oh, sorry. I gave Hood Politics a 4.5. I really liked the kind of boppy feel to it. I really enjoyed it. But let's talk about The Struggle Made Me Great. Every now and again, I feel like I hear a song that really just taps into the where I'm at in life feeling. I'm a person who is struggling and becoming great because of that struggle. I mean, I've been doing these podcasts for over 3 years. I've made music for like almost 8 years, and you can see that I'm not successful in numerical senses. Meanwhile, my ability to produce content in the middle of a quarantine and, kind of still get like 15,000 steps in a day while not leaving my apartment makes me realize I've achieved some stuff, and found ways to achieve greatness and health of both the mind and body in harsh times, and that's the foundation I was able to build. And so when I hear something like what K-Rino's describing here, I just feel like it speaks directly to me, because I haven't yet got there. I feel like I'm in the middle of getting there, and so I like that. Greatness is there for everybody if you're willing to chase it, Like, it's almost like, yeah, I'm supposed to be getting the shit kicked out of me by life. All right, thanks, K-Rino. But, he climbed a lot of mountains, he walked a lot of roads, had an open window, that open window closed. Used to dream of blowing up, touring, rocking shows. The more you starve for accolades, the more the hunger grows. And I can even relate to that sentiment, because I used to dream for a lot of the more megalomaniac rock star shit, but I'm not a sex symbol, so that shit's not happening for me right now. Probably never gonna happen happen because I'm in my 30s, but that's cool because I can have like this whole other life that still gets attached to the creation process, like talking in this camera and having people actually listen and whatnot. Anyway, I also fell in love with writing raps and all this, so I still write raps. I'm recording an album right now. People are still people stopped trying to tell me to kill my dream once I said there were patrons involved. But up until that, people kept trying to tell me to kill my dreams, and people were all throughout my life kind of looking down on me. Keep your day job. I did keep my day job, but I also like my day job. It's not like I hate what I do, so it's very different. But my favorite line in this whole like album might just be, I kept doing my thing and washed the doubtful seeds away because making a plan B meant I didn't believe in plan A. And I'm like, damn, that's fair. I don't have a plan B. It's rap, podcast, create content, try to build that equity, go to work because it's like education. I get paid to do very similar things to what I do for fun in my spare time. So I really like that. And the day that stops kind of coinciding, I will have to leave because this is the plan and I'm committed to it. And I really like that. I really like the idea that you can just chase your fucking dreams and go for it. And this dude's older than me, so if he's still going for his dreams and he's appreciating how the struggle made him great and he went through shit and it hardened him into a powerful weapon and stuff, I can learn from that and be inspired by that. So I am, and I really like it. He went from chit and then circuit. He pushed and built his buzz. He was too young and underage, still getting in clubs, going to war with the hoods, trying to get a name. But when I look back on it now, I had to be insane because my city was wild and I was living in the midst. But God protects the humble soul and ignorance is bliss. So you have him here kind of looking back on his career and his path and some of the tomfoolery he may have gotten up to, kind of the whatever that happened in his neighborhood, and then how God got him through it and kept him focused. And then he kind of took it serious and he practiced and he got kind of frustrated and jaded because, pain, plus if you want the prize, then pain becomes the payment. Hateful words seeded and some came out my mouth, got tired of the door slamming on me, so I built my own house. And that one there's another one I connected with. I rapped for years and yes, I got booked. I was able to do like 50 or so shows, but over the course of years, so I did maybe 8 to 10 a year. That's kind of small numbers, Granted, my city isn't very kind for not charging you, but that's still not amazing. And then I built this little platform of mine and realized I can become the promoter, and if I'm the promoter, I can headline the show. So Behind That Suit, in theory, was supposed to have thrown a concert yesterday, but that didn't happen because of quarantines. Yesterday being March 20th, whenever this video comes out. And so it is the future. We're going to do stuff live. And even now, like this microphone, the camera, all of this room, it's sound treated. I can fucking record an album in here. This is me saying I'm tired of the door slamming on me. And this is me building my house so that I have this space to a point where I went from being somebody that was praying for like handouts and whatnot to a person that has the equity to create and build. And it's fucking dope. And if you're wise and you let the BS push you where you need to be, confidence is big till you let the doubters shrink it. You heard you couldn't win so many times you start to think it. That's when you start to feel the negativity is the norm. Don't be alarmed because motivation comes in many forms. And I also can understand where it's coming on from here because, some days you wake up and it's not easy. And I appreciate it because K-Rino is effectively putting the grind of every entrepreneur in history down into this song. Honestly, this is the shit the rappers aren't telling you, but they all probably went through. Even the ones that got famous quick had their own version of this track. So anybody that makes it sound easy is lying to your fucking face. And anybody that got great had to have some struggle that went through it. I don't know. The third, I like how the third verse kind of ties it in to what we discussed in hood politics and kind of contextualizing as a people, there's a struggle going on. So trying to break our behavior with statements that I gave you in hopes that I can take your mind from Satan to the Savior. You're going to lose a lot of homies right now. You're stressed and lonely. The more painful the road, the stronger the testimony. Say I only eat the realness and regurgitate the phony to everyone who ever spent a dollar with your homie. Just know that I got love for each supporter who cares and asking me for autographs when I should be asking for theirs. So here he kind of shows that his like mission statement to change shit, and he's showing some appreciation to his fans. Like my cousin dropped money on his album. I said, yeah, I've only made $6 selling music. I'm kind of in debt on that front. I will support people once I get some dollars too. You can subscribe to my Patreon if you really like what I do here. It would be so helpful. I am in debt over this shit. And it's okay. Moving along. I love the humility he puts there, and he shows you how to behave with people, how to appreciate what's up. And I love when he goes, and rejection became the biggest blessing that you can get, and the message that work ethic is a preface is legit. So is success predestined is the question I submit. So you don't minimize your purpose because your dreams are yet to flourish. And it's real easy for me to tell you to get discouraged. My words are just to help, not to put below myself, because I struggle with the same problems as everybody else. So what he's doing here is kind of wondering about how to get success. In theory, we all can go and put in this work ethic and grind and put ourselves through this meat grinder and achieve that level of success. And if you're patient and you understand that the struggle makes you great, you're going to get it. It's just a matter of when and to what degree. But you can have it, and K-Rino is trying to encourage you with this. And I felt this song just spoke directly to me. I felt very inspired by it. I thought it was fucking cool in the context of this album too, because it totally fits after describing a track about struggle. It's like a little bit of the, okay, we've talked about some of the badness out there. Why don't we discuss a little bit how we're going to deal with the situation, and then we're going to go back to talking about the problem a little bit. So before we do that, I gave this tune a 5 on 5. Absolutely love the beat, absolutely love the entire feel of it. Let's move on to track 6, which is called Secret War. I like this beat. Falero did a great job. It's got this intensity to it. It's got this flow to it. It just kind of builds on it. And K-Rino feels like he's got a more aggressive tone, like he's ready to come in and tell us what's up. He's describing the secret war, which is an attack on black masculinity. It would be like in a sentence. And I don't know that I'm the right person to comment on what K-Rino is going to bring up in topics, because the truth is I haven't looked into any of this with the same level of detail. I do not listen to Mr. Louis Farrakhan very much. Like his teachings I've never really listened to. I do have a very top level understanding of Nation of Islam and 5%ers, so I don't know his root, his like source material for a lot of what he's gonna say in this track. So I don't know if I'm in a position to do it. But Mr. K-Rino, if you watch this and you would love to have a conversation on camera where we could discuss some of the nuances of tracks like this and where you get your information, I would love that. And I think some of your fans would also really appreciate that. So if you're a fan and you would appreciate that, go bug K-Rino and tell him to come do a part 2 with me on that interview front. But I like how it starts off, you know. For those who don't know what's being done, it's time for me to tell you what's being done and who's doing it, and tell you a little bit about what they do and how they try to turn us into that. So it's kind of letting you know there is something happening. K-Rino's got the answers, and he's going to share that information with you. And I love where his approach is with this, because I do think music should be this role. So this is the new normal. Everyone's too carnal. Everyone is kind of carnal. Everything is kind of about sex. Now I'm like a fucking slut in my mind. If I wasn't in a committed relationship, I would be an absolute whore. But I kind of get where he's coming from. Sometimes it feels like it used to be like kind of G-code, like we all kept it on the low, and now it's real in your face. When the strong becomes suppressed, effects are too harmful. Who are the life-altering pushers of this type of message? Black men are glad to put on a dress as a rite of passage. I'm like, ooh, we're going down this path. I don't know, man. I personally don't give a shit what men wear. You want to wear a dress. But white guys look kind of fancy for a while, we'll say. The self-degrading path to cash deeply impacts your mental. The consequential aftermath of this was accidental. So senseless we don't even see our own divinity, defenseless against this war on our masculinity. I would argue there is this attack on black masculinity. Like in a lot of ways, I find there are a lack of strong black role models out there. The black role models are often kind of put on in a bit of a comical masquerade. You could argue there's a lot of feminizing that happens there. I don't know enough about this to really comment, but I find it to be really interesting to listen to. The fact that he's writing this serious rap song with this anger in his voice, and it's like he's fucking mad that this is happening. It's bigger than money and material favors, black and status in this world, because he already given us that. He baited you with things to alter your behavior track and made distractions to keep you from claiming greatness back. Covered your eyes, so with him we won't break our ties and never realize that it's in our hands the power lies. So I think it's interesting because he kind of is saying that by playing into this white dude's world and letting him emasculate us, we are blinding ourselves from seeing the strength of building up our own communities and shit. And I get his point. For the most part, I kind of get it. I don't think wearing dresses is really the biggest deal, and let dudes wear makeup and colorful hairs and shit. But I'm also on team colorful hairs and shit. Like, if I could, I'd have a fucking red mohawk right now. So, I don't know. Me and masculinity have a strange relationship where I feel like what I perceive to be alphas are pretty beta, and they think I'm a fucking little whatever. So I roll the way I roll. And I try to just represent it as I see it, but I like the chorus here. We're casualties in a secret war. He goes, no, 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 a bunch. Every minute it's just feeling like they keep killing us even more. They're stacking the bodies up. And in a lot of ways, I kind of can only imagine what it's like to be K-Rino watching everything change in the way it is. I imagine one day I'll go through my own version of that too, and I might feel similar to the way he does. I follow the original is scripture, but so now you see us as visible before the world, carrying our rituals. The route consists of sex on many casting couches, Luciferian matches encrypted in their outfits. The contract writers who hire you require this and fly you through the cycle of Zionist entitlements. Top rabbis and pedophile Jews get their values from the Babylon Talmud. They don't live by the Torah, they live by these rules. So if you were going to argue that a bunch of See, I don't know anything about these top rabbis and pedophile Jews, and I understand that there are probably a lot of corrupt fucking dirty Jews in the entertainment industry that control a lot of this shit, and they happen to all be Jewish. I know that I heard this line and I'm like, man, this just makes it sound like Jews are fucking awful. So I'm hoping he's not talking about all Jews, because I'm a Jew, and like, man, most people I know are just fucking decent and not fucking pedophiles. Hell, most Jews I know aren't even fucking giving a shit about Israel. They're not Zionists. They're just people who live here and happen to have been snip / being a lady. And I know a lot that do live by the Torah, but I feel like he is describing like a particular things. Like, is he talking like raping babies? Is this related to the way that the rabbi kind of sucks a dick a little bit in the fucking snip procedures? Like, I don't fucking know. It's just, I don't really know what he's going on about. I feel like he's making some bold proclamations, and perhaps I know what he means by the route consisting of sex on many casting couches, because in a sense, a lot of people can only have fame by metaphorically or literally fucking producers. Like, this isn't just the porn version. It's like literally to get casted in roles in life, you have to do it. A lot of these rappers metaphorically sucked a lot of fucking dick, took some shit in their ass to get to where they are. I agree with K-Rino on that. I just kind of, I don't know. This verse just felt weird, but again, it's because I don't know the source material of what he means, so it felt weird. Anyway, sex trafficking, whatever. These principles are used in their control of entertainment and applied to many of a desire to be famous, so they pay rappers and actors who are chasing dreams. And then, then present you as a girl in front of the magazine. So basically, they're taking a little Uzi Vert and they're dressing him up all pretty and giving him this stuff and putting him in front of everything and telling him you can have your dreams. And I do believe that there is an effort by a bunch of label executives to effectively emasculate success within poor communities by promoting a lot of bad shit. So I'm with K-Rino on that. I just thought his choice of words in here was strong. Then again, he might have some great information. I wonder if like the album, for those of you who bought it, comes with like here's my sources section, because that would be fucking fire. Then you got, the third part where rap music is being buried in the feminist era. Experimental chemicals like Depo-Provera are used scientifically as a medical weapon to shift our testosterone levels into recession. You know what actually fucks with our testosterone levels is a copious amount of sugar in our diets. So all the sugar that people eat is probably fucking up their testosterone levels too. You can Google that one. I'm not making that shit up. They lie and twist the truth, plus they're able to comatose it, and scientific proof is labeled as homophobic. I mean, I guess that's true, depending on what your scientific proof is. I don't know what else I can go on. He's basically saying the gay agenda is going to piss people off, and how homosexuality, I'm sure this is related to the idea that homosexuality can be used to kill gay people or spread AIDS throughout the hood, or there's a lot of theories in this world. I've yet to see hard science personally. I've seen a lot of theories, a lot of look at these suspicious series of things we can connect together with a good video. Anyway, he does come through and go, this song was made to conjure conversation, not for hate and condemnation. So I thought that line was interesting because it's a bit of a cop out. You can't just say a bunch of shit and be like, well, I'm not trying to get hate and condemnation. So, like, it kind of sounds like when people are dodging any potential criticism. And he almost sounds like, I'm not trying to take your shit. I'm trying to have a conversation, and then when you love people, you handle them with patience. So in a sense, he's also saying, if you disagree with me, don't come at me aggressively. Let's have a real conversation about it. Apply the same level of courtesy that I'm applying to you, which is why I approached this whole track the way it did, because I don't have to necessarily agree with everything he said, and I would love to have that conversation. The scheme against the black family smoked us. The hood is broken, hopeless, and self-respect is no longer the focus. All of this, I mean, yeah, he's right. I mean, there's a lot of history to support what he's saying. The truth can end a hypnosis through some damage that has been done, but how can you fight a war if you don't even know you in one? And what's crazy is, like, as a guy who comes from poverty in Montreal as a white dude and whatnot, I find myself empathizing with a lot of what he's saying. I think there is a fucking contorted war against the middle class right now. It's against a lot more than just black people. It's a much bigger war, and it's attacking a lot more people. And I just wish a lot of us could become like allies in this, because there is some dark shit happening, and I just wish we could be like more collective and less individualistic over here in our Western world. I thought this song was fascinating. Regardless of what, again, line by line, do I agree with everything he's saying? Maybe not. But the fact that it gives us the opportunity to have this conversation makes it a beautiful fucking song. He flows as good as everything. He brings up interesting points. It's a 4.5 on 5. And the truth is, I got no complaints. I really dig this track. It's again got Young Pro on the beat. So this track kind of is looking at your perspective and what the energy you put out into the world is. So to boil it down for those who just care about the quick version, we follow up the idea that there's a war out there, and again that there are external negative influences that are attacking you inside of the existence that you're in. But then it goes and flips it to, but what can you do? So one of the things my old boss at work used to bring up whenever I would be all like unhappy and I'd be like, blah blah blah, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, my boss would go, I'm hearing a lot of what's wrong in the world, but what can you do to fix it? And I feel like that's what he's trying to say in this track. So, like, I can't deny the Most High. I've seen too many signs. Respect. I'm completely with you there, K-Rino. Blessings seem to come on time, right when I'm in a bind. Literally, I'm really bad at like looking for apartments when I do move, and always in a bind, right on time. God provides, and it's been wonderful in so many cases in life when I procrastinated. Bad luck does not exist. It's only in your mind. Can't whine about your problems if you're not willing to grind. No disputing. Strong trees come from deep root, and the only way out of a shooting slump is to keep shooting. And so he kind of goes through and lays down to basically your perspective and how you live your life is going to dictate everything. Bad luck is not real. Like, you are going to have moments where things happen and go around, but what ends up happening in life is when you're winning, let's say, when you're having good luck, it's more you're making choices that people find attractive. So you attract successful people, you attract a higher quality of people to you, and you make the lesser quality of people kind of go away. So by shifting your entire focus internally, by shifting how you see the world, you become stronger and get just kind of like a better reaction out of it. It's not really luck, it's just more perspective. So people will try to take it to discredit and judge your actions. Some days he lays up in a tub of my dissatisfaction. They laughed at you and they automatically felt defeat. But don't let nobody's doubt be stronger than your self-retreat. Some people show greed, show behavior you can't believe, blah, blah, blah. People are kind of shitty, and you got to stay true to your vision, and you got to make that happen for yourself. And then he drops in the chorus where it's like, I got no complaints, it's come over, whatever. It's just a pretty good song, just kind of showing appreciation. For some reason, the chorus wasn't there. I was kind of thought it would be there, but it didn't show up on Genius, so it's a pretty good thing. He's got I'm the other thing, da 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 da. I don't remember the words, sorry, but it's got like a good melody to it, and I just like the way it culminates on that. But I got no complaints, and just the way he kind of lays that down. Like, I'm kind of satisfied where things are in my life. I'm appreciative and grateful. And this fits into stuff like appreciating the struggle, making you great, understanding the complexities of life, but appreciating what you have in it. If God was real, He wouldn't bring the problems in my house. When I hear that question, be what God you talk about, because there's a God who has the supreme power, no ifs and maybes, and there's a smaller God who you see in the mirror daily, and the one who dropped you into Greece. Remember, we don't acknowledge what we do to cause our own dilemmas, so we accumulate new sets of problems and new faults. You blame the Most High for the bad relationships you chose. So effectively saying, over here, people basically make shitty choices, choose bad friends, and as a result, bad things happen to them, and then we blame God. But God didn't make us choose all the bad things. And one of the things that I really love in this verse, and he goes, praying for things that I ain't mentally ready to handle. What if you did hit that $1 million lick? Surprise me, would you have the discipline to utilize it wisely? And that's some shit that really is part of, like, I'm grateful I didn't make $1 million when I was 21 and I may have discovered cocaine and hoes. All I'm saying is that sometimes things come in due time when you can appreciate them and make the right choices, because you, when you're there, will attract, again, the right kind of guides and coaches and leaders that will get you to where you need to be. The last verse is kind of in the same vein of things. You see what others have and you feel you should have had it first. You want to match his possessions, but you won't match his work. You hurting for that cash, you resorted back to dirt. They win it fast, so they steal a car, snatch your purse. Some people are ruined and you got a problem being you. Somebody's doing time for something they ain't even do. You got your freedom due, but you're not understanding this, which means you, whatever stress you have, you got a chance to fix. So he's pointing out that regardless of your jealousies and your fears and your envy of other people's successes and stuff, keep in mind that there are some people that have worse circumstances, as we're going to discover in a few tracks on this project. And you need to appreciate that as long as you're out there and you're on your grind, you can fix it, Oh no, right, in this song, I forgot, keep in mind that some folks are having the hardest time. Somebody in a grocery store got their card declined, or, some young lady lost her babies, but yours made it. And, basically practicing gratitude and humility is a way to move forward and get the most out of life, change that perspective and attitude, and attract the right kind of energy and attention that you're needing. I thought it was a pretty great song. I thought it was a good mindset, and like this is how all of us should be living. So I like it when K-Rino's on that role model, I'm gonna be a leader tip. Anyway, I gave this track a 4.75 on 5. It's great. I really liked listening to it. And this is where I'm going to cut part 1 for the album review, because it's about halfway through the album. We are going to do part 2. It's probably going to be about the same length of this, maybe a little shorter. That's totally fine. So I thank you for being here with me. I look forward to seeing your comments on this project, what you think about every song, what your opinions are. Did you enjoy it? Are you looking forward to his new album? Will you help with the transcribing effort when his new album drops? So looking forward to seeing what you think. Like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Special thanks to the patrons Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, Linda Williams, and Scribble. They're dope. They support what we do, helped us get to the next level, get to tell us what albums to review, and all that good stuff. I make music myself, like I've said a couple times on this review. I got a new album I'm working on, but you can catch me on Spotify. Holden Stephan Roy, The Alternative Grind is my latest release. Anyway, looking forward to you in part 2. Live long and prosper, everyone.